Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Do you wonder what principles in life can support and nourish you? And can following a spiritual principle block you or help you? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith. And this episode is the 200th episode, so I'm kind of celebrating tonight. Joining me in this session is Reverend Mary Digiovanni, pastor of the Greater Boston Church of Spiritualism. And we are talking about the spiritualist principles and how we use them in our lives and how they help us in our lives. We will touch upon the importance of being part of a spiritualist or any spiritual community and how that can encourage you on your path. So welcome, Mary. So glad to have you back.
Well, it's great to be back.
Yeah,
I love the show, and congratulations on 200 shows. That's quite an accomplishment.
I'm really excited about that, and I'm really amazed. When did that happen?
I think things pile up, don't they?
They do. So I've been excited about doing this particular conversation about the spiritualist principles. Being a part of the Spiritualist church and even being ordained in the Spiritualist church, I've always felt that these principles, like we've talked about it just before, it's not a creed, it's not a binding creed. It's I feel like it's the Pirates Code, more of a suggestion. No, I'm kidding. When the Pirates what's the Pirates Creed? It's more of a suggestion, but I really feel that these declarations of principles just really have helped me a lot. I know they've helped you a lot, but I like to talk about them. We say them in church. When we start the service, it's one of the first or second things that we all say together. And yet I really have been hungering for a conversation about them. So
well, there's so much to understand about them. I think when we first read them, they just sort of go through and we don't really understand them. But the more we study them, the more we look at them, the more years we spend living them, because it really is, they become a philosophy of our life. They're guidelines, right? I always say they're the guidelines. We don't have any dogma, we don't have creed, we don't have rules or regulations, but we have these principles that are guidelines in our lives. And the more we understand them, the more we live in a better way.
Yeah, we do. And we live in a better way. And then, but diving into them and talking about them, what is that better way? What is that? Yeah. What are the choices that you have? What are those thoughts? And so what is your favorite principle? What have, I know you've been thinking about this What's on your mind?
There's so many. I love them all, really. Like the first one is what changed my life. We believe in infinite spirit. And I think when we understand what that means, that we redefine the word God. You know, I grew up in the Catholic faith and I heard, oh yeah, we're made in the image and likeness of God, which made me think God as a man, you know, with all the same flaws. And when I came into spiritualism, we believe that God is infinite. It's energy, a part of all creation, a part of us, a part of everything. And we begin to understand that we're energy. We're not just these physical beings, we're energy beings. So I think growing up, what they forgot to tell me was we're energy. When I went to spiritualism, I found, oh, we're energy. Yes, we're made in the image and likeness of God. The essence of God lives within us and within all of creation, which is so phenomenal.
Really?
You know, when we live in our lives and we're interacting with other people, we seek out that divinity within them. We look for that place that God resides. And the more we can find it in ourselves, the more we can find it in others.
And we can help people find it in there and within them. if that's what we're seeing, if we're picking people apart, we're not seeing their divine. We're not seeing the divine intelligence is embedded in all of us, and it's embedded in all of nature too. But
Yes.
I think I was raised Catholic too, and I feel like for me the biggest thing that blew me away is understanding that infinite intelligence, God, is source. It's an energy. It's not the Father in the sky. It's not a it's not what I thought it was. I projected, like you said, human characteristics onto a very unforgiving um parent, and then my parental experiences, I projected it onto God too. So I didn't think God liked me very much. And
Yeah, we worry about being judged all the time when we believe God in that small way. But God is
yeah,
infinite love. There's no judgment in the infinite source. God
yeah,
loves us as we are,
yeah.
right?
And that's where I have been growing so much within the spiritualist tradition, is
Mhm.
which I am loved. And what that means. And then it helps me to understand that I'm a co-creator in my life. So it gives me um and I feel like a lot of people have said this, once they understand that their energy and they're connecting to that higher power, they realize, oh, I can drive my own life. I can create what I want to create. That's
Sure.
a big leap for most people, I
Yeah,
think.
and we can access the divinity within us. We can get the guidance we need when we look within. When we don't really know what to do, we stop, look within, connect to that infinite source, and rise above their problems. And then we can get clarity and see the bigger picture. But if
Yeah.
we don't connect into that infinite source, we are reacting with our emotions and not able to see the forest through the trees. We can't see what we should be able to do. We have to step back from our emotional reactions and really connect to that infinite source that lives within us and find it within others. Just when we're in relationships with people, to try to look within to connect to that divinity within them. Even if we silently talk to the divine within that person, we're spirit. We can resolve issues mentally, by just sending our spirit and our energy of love over to the other person. We sometimes can bring that divine forward and begin the resolution of issues before they explode.
End something that you don't want to end, or yeah, or be totally just we live in a world of constantly misunderstanding each
Yes.
other. And but digging into that divine and having that patience, or taking a deep breath and not going there, instead saying, asking
Stop,
him, what's
Stop, breathe, connect. That's
the
what I would say.
what's inside here? What am I thinking? What am I saying? Or what is that person? Who are they? Who's their divine self? I really feel that would, if we could teach them, those guys in the UN, was United Nations, and they talk to one another, look at the divinity in each of us. And I feel like that's what
Yeah,
leads some people to go into peace and balance and understanding. It's I always talk about sources being love, divine unconditional love. We're created from that love, going back to that love. And ooh, um
yeah, that's our core. And that's where we need to go. And we forget because we look in the mirror and we see we're these physical beings. We're separate from everybody else because that's how we appear. But when we can recognize that we're energy so much larger than these physical forms and connected to all that is, that changes us. But it takes we have to have a system of remembering every day.
yeah.
I'm going to tattoo it on my hand. So, because the biggest problem we have is we forget who we are. We forget we're
Well,
divinity. We're the expression of God. That's in our principle as well. I think it's number 3. We are everything that we do. We're an expression of God on earth, right?
yeah, it says we affirm the correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith.
Constitution religion.
Oh,
I'm
it's
sorry, it was the second one. We believe in the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite spirit.
Yes.
And we are part of nature. Everything is the natural world made by the divine. And we are part of nature, and everything that we're doing are expressing divinity. And, it's easy to see it in the mountains, in the flowers, in the trees. We see the beauty of nature, and we can see God expressing there. But we have a hard time seeing that expression within ourselves. And then if we can't see it in ourselves, we can't see it in others. So it all starts here. When we begin to learn about these principles, we really start to look within to find that presence of God within us.
It's a quiet, small, still voice. I know that many people get confused. Well, this is how I feel, and so this is the way it is. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Take a minute, breathe, go inside, go beyond your feelings, and find that wisdom place within yourself, because it gets covered up with all the busyness.
Of
And
course it does, yeah.
take
And
time.
our attachments, all that we're attached to the answers, we're attached to what we think should be, and we won't accept what is.
Well, yeah.
And we have to accept what is, go within and see with clarity
Yeah.
before we can fix anything.
So if somebody doesn't know what on earth you're talking about going within, where
Well,
would you start with them?
breathe, deep breaths, deep breath, and follow that breath in to find the peace. I've always lead meditations to go within and just simply focus on your breath.
Yeah.
Breathing in and breathing out. And then I say, imagine a beautiful light, which is that divine light flowing into your body, relaxing every muscle, every bone, every cell, every organ. And then see it going through your mind, quieting all those busy thoughts. And I always say, imagine a peaceful river flowing through your mind, clearing out all the clutter, quieting. And then feel that unconditional love wash through your emotional body and wash away all the negative emotions that have been stirring you up. And just allow that love to surround you. And then bring it into your heart and feel the heart open and expand out into the world around you to create a beautiful bubble of light. And that is within, being one with that divine, because you're bringing that divinity through every part of you and finding it in every cell, in every organ, in every bone, in every thought, in every emotion. We need to bring the divine into it so that we can get that peace. And it's from that place of peace that all the clarity flows, all the guidance comes in. When we're in that meditative state, connected to source, all our answers are there. We're connected to it. There's no separation. So we just simply need to allow. And when we go into that deep place within, we just allow ourselves to be in that peace. And if we can start our day that way, which is what I always invite people to just start your day and start your day in that place of peace, then you're coming from that peace in everything that you do or wherever you go that day.
Absolutely. I love that. Mary, so beautifully said. So beautifully said. Thanks.
It's important that we do it every day, and sometimes 3 times a day.
Throughout the day.
Remember, I say to my students, well, if you feel yourself moving down in vibration, just take a break, go into the ladies' room and breathe.
Oh, you've taken plenty of those trips. Yeah.
Breathe, bring yourself back into center, connect to the divine, and then start again. Because life happens, right? Life can throw us curveballs.
Yeah, I feel like for me it's absolutely true. And then sometimes when I feel like I have to make a decision about something and I can feel the anxiety coming up because I don't know what the decision is, take a breath and breathe and bring it down. The creator is very creative, has a lot of wisdom in that connection. So new thoughts will come up.
Yes.
A new sense of yeah, that's the word. Well, that's where I go. That feels totally right. It's not intellectual struggle anymore. It's a spiritual awareness. And that makes me, and any of my students that I talk to, that brings them a big sigh of relief. They don't have to right now. They could let themselves move into the answer in co-creating or in relationship with source, higher power.
Yeah. And so people are receiving guidance all the time. They just need to pay attention to it. It flows into us when we're in that open space, in that peaceful place. Our answers will just flow in and new ideas come. And you go, oh, where did that come from? I didn't think of that. That's a great idea. That's divinity working through you.
And it works in the boardroom. It works during meetings. It works with your family. It works when you're shopping. It works. The presence is continuous.
Yes.
And that's
I always say we can never be separate from source, ever. We're part of it. Our awareness of it moves away. So our awareness that we're one with the divine changes, but the divine never leaves us.
Yeah, no.
And we can't be separated. We're all part of the divine infinite source of pure love. That's who we are. If we could just remember, we'd have a beautiful world.
Yep. Remember or ask. That's divine intelligence. Show you a little glimmer of it so that you have it within you, within your mind, within yourself. We forget. And it's like, can you remind me, please?
Yeah.
They will.
Little reminders. Yeah.
And this is what spiritualism constitute as true religion, as two that back and forth communion. That's what we strive. That's what we're talking about. That's where we're going.
And it's a personal relationship. It's not, you don't have to go to someone to have that connection. In Spiritualism, we know we're always connected to source. It's a personal relationship with the divine that we work on. We work on with other relationships in our lives. If you want to have a good relationship with your partner or your friends, you have to work on that. You have to pay attention to the people in your lives to keep that relationship going. Well, it's the same with the infinite source. If we just forget where the divine is within us and pay no attention, well, we're not going to build that relationship and that constant flow. When we're living in the flow of life, synchronicity happens all around us. Everything we need shows up, right? Because we're in the flow of the divine. But we have to work on that. We have to take steps every day to make sure we are bringing our awareness into that connection, understanding the divineness within me, within you, within all of creation, and appreciating it, right? Appreciating the divinity.
Appreciating it. Appreciating it. So this relationship that we start, that we nurture, that we carry along, this is the flow. I know many people will wait until there's a crisis in their life or there's something big in their life and they have big emotions around it. And they have the list of, God, I need you to do this, this, and this. So they don't have a relationship with spirit. And sometimes the end result for them can be, if they jump too fast, there is no God, or God doesn't love me, or there isn't. Well, and so
really hard. It's really hard to connect when you're in emotional turmoil.
So
if you connect every day, it's a natural place for you to go.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's not a natural place to go every day. Then turmoil strikes. It's really hard to get yourself separated from the turmoil or the upset that's keeping you in an emotional frenzy, right? It's really hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. But sometimes, and I know people have come to church, spiritualist church, because they have that loss, that grief, the loss of the loved one, and they're coming for a new answer or a new understanding, and they are in emotional turmoil. However, what we say in the spiritualist tradition within the service is a kind of an introduction. So sometimes people come to understand they need a relationship with spirit through crisis. I mean, that happened quite a bit, but as spiritualists, the welcoming part is take a breath.
Yeah.
And you're loved. You're not alone, and you're loved. Let's start there. And
Mhm.
love that. It's and when we have in our services, like it's a welcome home.
Yeah.
We finally got here. Welcome home.
Yeah. And the services when the people sit in the healing chairs and receive that healing energy, that just brings them into the place where they need to be receptive to all of the love and the peace and all the wisdom of spirit that's all around them. So the
Yeah.
healing portion of the service is really important and helps so many people, when they come in.
Just a brief description of the healing in the service. There's a healing portion of the service where we have a little healing, little hands-on healing. Well, we have chairs so you could sit in, and you'll have healers there that you don't have to be touched, but we'll just bring in the healing of spirit into you through their hands or just through their heart, just through sitting close to you. And that is a very warm, safe environment to experience spirit coming through and to disarm you, to help you to relax, to help you bring in spirit. Just wanted to, for those who are new to spiritualism,
People haven't sat
in.
in those chairs. It's a wonderful experience because it helps you to relax and
Exactly.
open. Yeah.
Yeah, it's welcome to
Just
everybody.
feel
Yeah.
the peace and the love. That's all it is. That energy, that healing energy that's flowing in is nothing but love and pure love coming in to bring you what you need.
Exactly. And it's coming through the person who's there from heaven through the person right to you, and you get exactly what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my favorite part of well, there's a few favorite parts of of the service.
I
But
know, me too.
so like number 4, we affirm that the existence and the personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. This is really
That's
significant.
an important one. That's
Yeah.
a big important one because when we truly understand that we're eternal beings, we can get rid of that fear of death. That's the biggest fear that most people have. But we understand that we're energy. Energy can't be destroyed, right? As we said. So we know that we continue, but the evidence that comes through from the spirit loved ones proves at every single service that with that evidence that the medium couldn't possibly know, it proves that life does continue. Your loved ones are still there. And that happens in every service, in every church.
Every single service. Yes.
Yeah.
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 It is beautiful, and every single medium has a different personality, and we're not necessarily proving that we're awesome, wonderful mediums. We're simply showing you how this works, how that we, after the change called death, we move on with our personalities, with our things that we're working on. We still love our loved ones.
We
Yeah,
continue to evolve.
we continue to
The
evolve.
spirit side of life. That's the beauty of it. We continue to evolve and learn. I love when I can bring spirit through and share their wisdom, what they've learned in their lives.
Yeah.
That's what I always ask them. What did you learn in your life? Because that helps everybody in the church. And it's amazing to hear the things that they've learned. And, they'll sometimes bring in things that they weren't so good at in life. Because
Yes.
that's what they learned from,
Yeah.
Sunday, I had someone who was very opinionated. As she came in, she was bringing as evidence that she was very opinionated, and she was talking about from spirit. She realized that everybody's opinion matters, that you have to listen to everybody.
Hey.
She wasn't like that on earth. She was very, she was too busy telling everybody what to do,
That works.
which was true about her when she was on the earth, I heard later. But it's amazing to hear that they look at their lives.
Yeah.
When we cross over, we'll all look at our lives and we'll say, well, what did we learn? How did we do? And just understanding that we will look back on our lives. Will we be happy? will we be disappointed in how we lived our lives? But
Yeah.
understanding that now as we live, we pay attention to how we live.
Yeah.
I know I want to look back and say, oh, good job.
You know, I want to add something, since I heard somebody say, and also, our lives, doing well with our lives, learning from our lives, having deep connections. It's living a simple life. It's connecting and loving and caring about other people, learning it's about the relationships, it's about how you were present for what was going on, and how you did the best you can. And sometimes, our lives aren't the big corporate or the big CEO or the big sometimes they're um, caring. They're about caring deeply for the people that are around you. And most of the messages that I get from Spirit I don't think I've ever gotten a scary message. I feel like they've come forward to say, I want to make amends, or I want to balance this out. I love you. I can see where maybe I neglected you a little bit, but I was always loved you, but I didn't tell you. Those kinds of messages where somebody will come in and say, I really don't want to hear from him or her because they were very difficult to me in my life.
But
And
those are the ones that need to come through,
yeah, exactly.
because that's helping them on the spirit side.
But they're not coming
They're
back to
evolving.
hurt us. They're not coming back to give us yet another opinion.
Oh,
or
no.
Usually not. We'll get a little bit just so that we know who they are. But then, like you said, they're beautiful messages of everybody had an opinion, and I just wasn't willing to listen. And now I'm listening.
Yeah. And they all come through with such wisdom. When they look at their lives, they see what they've learned, and then they can help everybody. Well, we don't all have to make the same mistakes, do we? We can learn from that, right? But most especially, I know I've learned. I don't want to be disappointed when I get to the other side of how I lived.
Well, that's
I
it.
want to pay attention every day to say, okay, did I live my best day?
Exactly. Your
Today,
best day,
did
your
I
best.
do a good job today?
We did
You
it.
know?
Yeah,
And,
exactly. It's
uh,
not a huge thing. It's a simple, straightforward,
yeah.
appreciating, loving, and being present.
Yeah.
That is
It's very small. The things we learn, they're small things that we need to do. Like at the end of the day, looking at your life, how did I do? Having a review every day. Oh, well, maybe I could do that better tomorrow.
yeah.
Simple little things that we're just being aware. We're living with conscious awareness
Oh
of
my
how we live
God.
and
Perfectly.
how we interact. And, could I have done better? Yeah, maybe. So I'll pay attention to that tomorrow.
Right. I want to
Right.
ask you something that I've heard from a couple of people, and this is coming from the side of grief, that people try to comfort each other in grief, and they said, I am so tired of people telling me he's in a better place.
Mm.
And I'm sitting there as a medium, and a spiritualist, like, he is in a better place.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
But they don't have that understanding. He's
Mm.
not here with me, and how could this be better? And so talking a little bit about grief, what spiritualism brings to the grief process, I suppose.
Well, grief is hard. I know grief is hard, and it's a process that people have to go through. You can't erase it. You have to just accept the feelings that you have, face them and feel them, and allow yourself to heal. I don't think there are any words that can help people so much, but the messages you get from the loved ones really help.
I do.
When people are in grief and they come in and their loved one comes through with a piece of evidence that goes right to your heart, you can feel that. And I know when my sister died, I was just wrapped in grief. I was so upset. And probably the first service after she passed, the last thing I said to her, I want you to tell me what it's like over there, because she passed of cancer, and we knew she was going. So we had conversations about it. And maybe a couple of weeks after her passing, the medium that was doing the service came to me, and she described her, but she says it's beautiful here. And it answered my question. And then she brought like one other piece of evidence that made no sense to anyone but me. that was so absolute, that I was so 100% certain it was her and she
Oh,
was fine.
I
And
love
my grief just melted. I was fine.
you're good. Oh,
It
thank God.
melted after that because I absolutely 100% knew that she was okay with just 2 things is all she had to bring. And the
Yeah.
medium had no idea, like, normally if I said, "Oh, it's beautiful over here," I wouldn't think that was a great piece of evidence, but it was because it was the last thing I asked her to do, is
Yeah.
to tell me what it was like. So, the evidence that comes is so personal to the individual, and that just melts your grief. It just really helps. That's the whole point of mediumship, is healing. And it's healing the grieving hearts that come and need to know their loved ones are fine. Because when we know they're fine, then we let go of a lot of the grief we carry. Do we still miss them? Yes.
Yeah.
But we're not grieving deeply
Yeah, there's
anymore.
meaning. We brought some. I feel like for me, really getting involved in mediumship and really understanding how profound it is that we continue on after the change. It's not just some you're in playing a harp thing or going away and waiting at the pearly gates and waiting to be judged. It's none of that. It's beautiful. It's loving and caring and for everyone.
Yeah, for everyone.
Yeah, that's
Everyone is welcomed home.
everyone is what, and that is what some people have trouble with in spiritualism. We have that's number 8. We affirm the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter, and people struggle with this. Uh,
Yes.
the-
Well, that's one that says there is no hell.
yeah, we're just-
And people do struggle with that because they want the bad people to suffer. But in reality, it's set up on many different levels, different vibrations. I think Jesus said, "In my Father's house there are many mansions." Well, I take it as a spiritualist, there are many levels of vibration. And when we pass, we move to the vibration that we are, what we're comfortable in. And we're with the people of the same vibration. But we can always evolve from that vibration to a higher vibration because we're ever evolving to be more and more love. So wherever we go, we're comfortable.
we are.
And then I know there are teachers and guides that help us to look at our lives and see how we can evolve in a better way,
Yeah,
on the spirit side of life.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean because you had a hard life here, you're going to go to heaven and have a hard life in heaven. That doesn't mean that at all.
Oh,
You've
no.
worked out all kinds of things having this hard life here, but you are open armed. You're accepted.
Yes. Yeah.
And
You're loved. And your loved ones help you across. I know people who work with people who are dying in hospice, they see them talking to their loved ones as they're getting ready to pass. A lot of nurses will tell you that.
yeah,
And I know the people that I've been with, definitely we're having communications with their loved ones before they passed. And being a medium, I can feel who comes in to get them. So it's very comforting, when you can understand that. I know I was with my father-in-law when he passed, and I could feel his mother come in and reach for him as he was passing. So it was like so comforting to know he was with his mother. She brought him across. So different spirits will come to help people across. You never die alone. No one is, I used to think you do, and I'm directionally impaired. I get lost going around the corner. And I used to say I had to get into spiritualism and connect to spirit so I knew someone would help me across. I don't want to get lost when I die.
everything was like, where am I?
Which way do I go? I want someone taking my hand.
Moving
I
me
don't want to
through.
take a wrong turn. So it's comforting to me to know people, your loved ones come and help you. You know, your guides and your angels are there as well. So you're never alone when you pass.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Sometimes there's a time before passing where people can get very anxious. That's a normal thing to have happen. And the fear and the anxiety can build and build either. And if they're cognizant, having a medium come and talk can be really, really helpful.
Yes, it can be.
You know?
And just bringing the healing energy into them as well. You know, if you just sit, put your hands on, you know, and talk about the afterlife in wonderful ways, it calms them down and helps them.
It really does. It really, really does. I've sat with people who are not cognizant, but throes of anxiety through they're halfway in and out of just I don't want to say coma, but I've had people halfway in and out of consciousness where I've just put my hands on them and just spoke to them. You're okay. You're gonna be okay.
That's
And
the most helpful, is the energy that you're giving, that healing energy. That's the most helpful to people who are in transition, because it helps them to calm. You know, it takes them out of that anxiety. The more healing energy you can bring through, that healing energy literally carries them across.
It does. It does. I've had plenty of people read for, you know, and did I do the right thing for mom? Did I do the right thing for dad? And then dad comes through and said, you know, you were there with me and I know you had to make these hard decisions, but your love for me made the bridge for me to go to heaven. Your love was the bridge. And I've had so many messages like that I believe it, you know. Just loving them up as best you can and touching them, but not too much because they're on their way out. But just saying you're gonna be okay. It's okay.
I think the more love you can wrap around them, you know, just being there. The answer is always love. Just love them. And, you know, as you're loving them, there are people on the other side loving them across too. So, you know, there's like this little doorway, and we're sending them over with love, and they're bringing them in with love. And so death can be a beautiful thing.
The birth. It really is.
It's truly like a new beginning for every soul. You're free from this life can be very difficult and hard. You know, because we are buried in this forgetfulness. You know, we forget who we really are.
And then this is an interesting concept that I have found since this whole pathway I've been on is you're going home. This is temporary. We have a beginning, middle, and we have an end, and at the end we go home. And we forget that. It's really hard to remember that. It's hard to process it. Hard to stay in the truth of that. She's going home or he's going home.
And it's a celebration there. You know, they celebrate them when they get home. Like we celebrate a birth here, they celebrate the new birth in spirit. So, you know, we look at death as spiritualists in a very different way.
Well, we do.
We accept it. We know that it's natural process, that we're all going to go through that. And we accept it. Doesn't mean we're happy when somebody dies, but we don't go. I can't imagine going through a passing without the understanding that life continues. Without the understanding they're still aware of us. You know, that love is still, that bond of love that we have doesn't break. It's still there. And that when we can understand that, we can still feel their presence. You know? So we're never alone because we know that bond of love will always be there, and we're always connected, and life continues. So our view of death, I think we move through it in an easier way when we lose someone. Not that it's not painful, because it is. I lost my sister and my husband within 2 months of each other, and I was devastated, but I still knew they were okay.
Yeah.
You know, I still knew where they were. They were okay. And I had to get used to living without them on this plane. But, you know, so it was painful, but I can't imagine getting through it without the knowledge that I have, without the belief and the knowing that I have that life continues.
Well, you said something important, the knowing, where
Mhm.
we bring that concept within the service or within mediumship, part of the service, or just talking to a medium one on one, is you shift from I believe this is true to I know it's
I
true.
know it is. Yeah.
There's no argument here. It's just I have this process I have to go through. It's a pain that I have to go through, but I know something very important about this. And I often feel that when we lose somebody, when we go through grief, it's our soul is kind of reminding us that there is an end to this, that
Yeah.
this is don't get too wrapped up in having to make it just so, because this is temporary.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like harsh at times,
It
but
reminds us. Yes, it reminds us of that we are going to pass to our immortality, that we're not here on this physical plane forever. We are more than this physical being, and this is just a short time that we're here, really,
yeah.
and then we go home.
Why the heck are we here? Don't
We're here to learn. All these experiences we have it teaching us. We wonder why we took this on sometime.
I know. I wanted to take just a really quick break and just say that Mary, Reverend Mary Digiovanni is a pastor of the Greater Boston Church of Spiritualism, which is in Arlington, and her services are 10:30 every Sunday morning. They're held at 19 Academy Street in Arlington, Massachusetts. I don't know you don't have a Zoom or an online component to your service.
Not together. No, our signal at that building is not good, so it doesn't really work. But if it snows, if we have a blizzard, we switch to Zoom.
Okay, so keep an eye. Those of you who are
Well,
not
join the email list if you want to know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
we send an email out to everybody if we switch over.
So those who are listening that are not in the Massachusetts area, just definitely you could reach out at Greater Boston Church of Spiritualism.com.
Mhm.
Probably search Reverend Mary Digiovanni too, and get on their mailing list. Even if you're Californian, just listen to what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And it, I always feel like knowing as many churches as I possibly can is a very happy, good thing. So anyway, reach out if you could go to one of her services. The tremendous community, you have a tremendous community within your, I always feel a couple times that I've been there, I just love going there. So
Mhm.
it's,
We have to get you back. I have some dates open. We'll talk.
oh my gosh, I've been to
It's like
some,
community. It's good to have a church community that you can go and be with people of like mind
yeah.
and talk about the things that come up in life, the challenges that you have. We all have challenges, and when you get to talk to spiritual people on a regular basis, you know that you're not alone.
Yeah, it's that reminder as often
Mhm.
as you can. And I'm a working medium, so I go to these churches, but I'm really coming to really understand that I need to go to the service just to sit there and receive.
Yes, I love to go and just receive. I don't get to go often, but I
Yeah.
love to because it's so nice to just sit and receive everything that, we have beautiful music, meditation, healing, inspirational speaking, messages from spirit. Every part of it brings something to everyone. It all sort of blends together in just this wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And
And
I
yeah, I want to point out too, it's this wonderful experience, but it doesn't diminish any other religion. There are many people that come that
Mhm.
have been through a lot different religious backgrounds. It's amazing.
Oh,
And,
sure.
and just amazing.
Everyone's welcome. Yeah.
Everyone's welcome. And the teachings of spiritualism, if you sit with it for 2 minutes, it fits in to every religion. It just talking about the continuity of life and source and
Yeah. Well, the golden rule is part of every religion and culture, and that's one of our principles, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is like natural law, 100%. And it's how we live our lives. What we put out will come back to us. I remember my mother teaching me that when I was a little kid. Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. That's all you need to know. And it's true. And
if
that's the golden rule.
About what you do and stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want that to come back to you? Because that's how natural law works.
Although, yeah, and go and walk away if something's hurting you and you treat yourself right, you can walk away. So I feel that one of the golden rules taught me is that I needed to treat myself well. I was hard on myself, and I was watching other people be hard on themselves, and then I watched them be hard on others because that's how they were treating themselves, and it was just a natural to them. It was a natural occurrence, and I said, "Wait a minute, is that loving yourself? And if it's not loving yourself, let's go back and find out what loving yourself is, and then don't leave that love when you're talking to somebody else."
Right.
Or when you're interacting, having a relationship with
You need to treat yourself well. Yeah. Otherwise you'll get the golden rule backwards, right?
Exactly. Or you treat yourself poorly and then you allow other people to treat you poorly. That's not the golden rule.
No, that's not. No.
So,
No. But how you treat yourself literally is an energy that you put out into the universe that will come back to show you, here's how you're treating yourself. How we treat ourselves, how we treat others, we're putting that all out into the universe. The universe is bringing it back to us, not to punish us, but to teach us, to show us. So we pay attention to everything that comes our way because everything is teaching us something. And it's easier to learn through gentle pushes than when they hit you over the head with something really big, right? But we always have to, I always say, what do I have to learn from this? And how did I pull this toward me? How did I draw this? Did I draw it because it's something that I need to see about myself or something I need to learn about? So it's not a judgment of yourself when things come at you. It's how can I grow from this? What can I take from this that will help me? And oftentimes the universe brings us things that are really difficult, and they end up to be the biggest blessing that we've had in our lives. Like things happen in life, and sometimes they're not great. I'll tell you an example. When I was a number of years ago, many years ago, I had a tenant in my house who didn't want to pay the rent, so they ripped the sink out of the wall and called the Board of Health on me. So the Board of Health came, and I was so upset. It was the worst thing I could ever have imagined. I was so angry. And anyway, they had to leave so I could fix the house. And at the time, my mother wasn't doing that well. So I decided to renovate the house, and I moved my mother in. And my mother lived there for 3 months before she passed, but it was my way of giving back to her. So if that bad thing didn't happen, I wouldn't ever have asked them to leave to put my mother in. So everything worked so beautifully. So I could have those 3 months with my mother given back to her the way she had given to me. And it was like such a blessing. So it's why I say sometimes bad things happen in life, but good can come of that. When we listen to what we really need to do in that situation, I was just inspired to say, well, this is the time to bring my mother here. I can do that for her, So you just never know what the universe is bringing to you, what you need to learn from. Is it a push to get onto a different path? We have to pay attention. We have to live with conscious awareness and see, okay, the universe, Einstein said the universe is friendly. And it's trying to help us, so it's how all of nature, how infinite spirit, it all works together in harmony to bring us all what we need.
So set aside those big emotions understand what it is that you're feeling and where you want to go, and then get quiet and let the universe quietly speak to you and move
Quietly speak to
forward.
you so that you can see with clarity and make the best decisions. And then you'll be amazed at where you end up, right? Because we can't always see the bigger picture, but the universe knows, the infinite source knows what the bigger picture is here.
Yeah.
We can't always see it.
No, we can't always. It takes a little while. You have to live into it, seeing it. Like the story you just said, you didn't know immediately what was.
No, it took me, it wasn't until after she passed that I looked back and I said, oh, I'm so glad I had that time. And I wouldn't have. So we have to listen to that little voice inside.
Baby steps moving forward. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a wonderful these spiritual principles are a very good things to live by, and
Hmm.
looking into them. You did make a comment before we got on. It's like reading these principles, they can change
Yes.
over time as you
Mhm.
mature and grow. You can say you'll even, you said you'll read the principles and you'll realize there's something else in there that you didn't
Yeah.
realize before. So
Yeah. I always see something new in just the words that are there, because we are ever evolving. We're never the same. Every day is a new beginning. We're learning, we're growing. And so when we look back at things we've already learned, we get a deeper understanding of them. And I think our principles are there too. When I first read the principles, I didn't really probably think much about them. I took them just for the surface. And then as I read them more and more and started to think about, oh, how do these affect my life? Then how can I live these principles? Then I started to notice how in the everyday of things, I was living those principles, like just understanding that how I live my life is going to decide what will come to me tomorrow. That's, what goes around comes around. What you sow, you reap. It's said in a million different ways through many different natural laws, but it's all basically the same. We are in charge of us. We are the creators of our lives. And our principles teach us that. We are the creators, and we're co-creating with the divine, and we're expressions of the divine in everything that we do. So when we pay attention and we live as that divine expression, our lives become so much greater, so much happier. I know you talked last week about we create our own happiness and unhappiness as we follow these natural laws. And it's true. We
yeah.
can't blame anybody for our unhappiness.
We can
That's
get
a
caught up
big
in
one.
situations. We can get caught up in situations, like you said, like the tenant pulling the sink off of the wall or anything, or a relationship that isn't working out. And it's time for it to come to an end, but we could step back and we could say, what was at least my 2% of what I did. And in this relationship, and sometimes people do mean things, and there is a learning from that. There is a growth from that. Their spirit is there. God is there. It's not a godless situation. It's
Yeah.
just kind of mystery sometimes. Like,
Yeah. It can be a big mystery, but
what
when
were
we
you?
understand there's always something, like people get in the same in relationships. It's like you keep marrying the same person and
Right.
expect something different. Well, you have to look at that person, see were they teaching you?
Yeah.
No, because we're all teachers to each other. So what in that relationship were they trying to teach you? Because until you learn that, you'll keep drawing that same person to you until you learn the lesson that they have for you. And we're all teaching something to
Well,
each
sometimes
other.
people can be a teacher to you, but be a teacher unawares.
Yeah,
So
they're not, yeah, right. Definitely unawares. Yeah.
just remember
Um,
that, like they're telling you this and telling you this, but that's not what they're teaching you.
no. You have to look deeper. You have to get in touch with the divine and see what in this relationship do I need to learn?
Yeah. What?
You know, how I interacted, or what is this person like? Sometimes people grow up with an alcoholic father and they marry an alcoholic,
Yeah.
you know, and they keep drawing people who are alcoholics to their lives. And there's a lesson in there. What did they have to learn from that parent? You know, maybe it's self-responsibility that the father needs to take care of himself, stand on his own 2 feet, and make different choices, that you can't fix everybody. You know, so that's a big lesson that a lot of people have to learn. You can't fix anyone but yourself.
So, yeah.
And
And
sometimes people have these savior complexes. They have to save people and then they feel good about themselves. But when they recognize, oh, I can't save them, then they can be free from drawing people like that and draw somebody healthy, you know, as they become healthy.
exactly. Yeah. That's a good point. And then, and that pathway to health, you know, if you're choosing somebody who's not healthy, you got to
You have
find
to
your
be
own path.
healthy to draw someone healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can talk about this forever, the different experiences in people's lives and what they have to learn from it. But you have to go into that deep place, connect to the divine, to get beyond the emotion and the attachments and the surface, and look deeper in to see, what am I supposed to learn in this experience? This is my life lesson. You know, we come in with life lessons and we need to learn, what's my life lesson here, which are really hard to learn. You know, that's why things keep coming back, because they're important lessons for our souls. And we can't find it without that inner connection.
I love that, with interconnection, and we don't have to do it by ourselves. You
Yes.
can say, "Here I am again. I don't know how I got here. I really thought I was on a better path, and here I am again. Help me."
Yeah. Yeah.
Ask for help and go into that quiet place and be receptive.
Yeah. And surrender. You know, that surrender was my favorite word as I was moving through all my lessons. Okay, I surrender. I give up. I don't know. I give up, I surrender.
But don't give up on
I don't know
yourself.
what I need to know.
You
Yeah,
give up and surrender to the love of God, the love of
yes,
source, the love
just
of your
yes.
highest guidance that will take you to a better place. Surrendering is not a place of despair. It's a place
No,
I'm ready to receive.
yeah,
And this declaration of principles within the spiritualist tradition, there's lots for you to receive. There's
yes,
lots coming your way if you allow it.
yeah, yeah. And I think the principles have basically our philosophy in life.
Yeah, they
You know,
are.
it's how we live our lives, guided, connected, and following natural laws and understanding how the universe and creation works.
Yeah.
And the more we learn about our principles and natural law, the more we understand how we create our lives, how we can create a better life, not just for ourselves, but for the world.
Yep.
You know, we're all part of the world. We're all part of humanity. We're all part of this planet, and we all have a part to play. So we have to look within and see, well, what can I do? You know, what's my part? And if we all did our part, we'd have a beautiful world.
We will.
Right? Everybody just did their part
Yeah.
and not try to do everybody else's. I think we get in trouble with that. But we do our part and try to make the world a better place in just our little sphere. You know, wherever we are, if we're doing our best and we're following principles and we're living that philosophy and loving and caring and staying connected, then we live happy lives. Pretty much.
It's a practice. It is a
It's
practice.
a practice. Yeah, it's you can't just forget about it. You have to stay connected and focused and thinking about all these things every day. You know, it's
Daily renewal.
you
Yeah.
can't just walk away and say, "Oh yeah, I know that." Well, then you won't know it in a week from now because you have to create a practice of remembering.
Online, I know there's a lot of the Declaration of Principles, Spiritualist principles. You could Google it. That's a verb now. And find these principles, and it's plenty, and just print them out and have them with you, and just say, what principle is challenging me today? What can I bring forward in my life that's happy, that's joyful, that's connected to a higher power? That how am I showing myself there's a higher power, and that, and what is a higher power telling me? That is something to ask yourself. I think start the morning with it.
Right. And every day you're a choice how you're going to live your life. So every morning you say, how do I want to live my life today? Do I want to be an expression of the divine in all that I do? Is that my intention for my day? And I'm going to connect to that divine source, and I'm going to allow that flow of love to come into everything I do today. And then at the end of the day, say how you did.
Yeah, might surprise yourself.
Where did I forget? It's a great practice. I started that many years ago, and it's a great practice because I could see, all my energy dropped here at this around noontime. I was gone. I forgot who I was, and I had to remember to bring that energy back up and come from my heart and be centered rather than come from my head and my emotions.
Yeah.
So it's a practice that you develop, and it's personal to each individual. It says the principles are personal. The connection to the divine is a personal connection, a personal relationship. I think that's what I love about spiritualism. There's no in between. So you don't have to go to a priest to confess your sins.
Oh yeah, there's nobody in between. Yeah.
No in between person. There's ministers like you and I, but we facilitate the process for people. We hold the space for them. But everybody has their own personal relationship with the divine that they can nurture and help to grow and be in that love.
It's so true. And each one of us is individual in that we have our own soul's pathway. We have our own life lessons to learn, and matching ourselves up with somebody else, it's not going to work.
No, it's personal. It's your own individual connection. Everyone has their own journey. And, the answer for one person might be completely different for someone else in the same experience.
Exactly.
The lesson might be completely opposite. So there's not just one answer. It's all individual.
Right. That's the beauty of this, is that everyone is important. Everyone is special. Everyone is loved, and everyone is welcome.
Yes.
Wherever.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, they are. Yeah.
But
I hope this helped people a little understanding the principles.
I think so. I was looking, and we have a lot of people are curious about this, and I'm so happy we've put it out there, and we can put it out there as many times as anyone needs, and because we are beautiful spiritual beings having a human experience. We are important. We are loved, and we are being supported and nurtured, and we're not alone.
Right. We're all loved beyond measure, exactly as we are. That's one of my favorite sayings, because we have to know that the divine, the infinite source loves us exactly as we are. We don't have to change to be loved. We are loved. And when we accept that love, then there is no lack of love. We don't feel that lack anymore. And so we're not out searching, I need love, I need love. No, we're full of love. So the more love we give, the more love we get anyway, right? Because what we put out comes back. So I said on my Valentine's lecture, if you want love, go give love to someone. Go love somebody. Go be nice to someone. Go treat someone, do something nice for somebody. And that will come back to you in ways you can't even imagine, when you least expect it, but when you need it. And that's how natural law works. When you need it, it will come back.
It will come back. Well, I think so. If you go out and love somebody, you're scratching the surface of your potential.
Yeah.
you'll have a tremendous amount of love that just flows from us. And as you give, and it could be kind words, or it could be just taking an extra moment to listen, or it could be some huge gesture. It doesn't matter. But when
Doesn't
you
matter.
scratch open the surface of your own potential to love, that you're opening up to the big kahuna of the God, of Source's love, God's love for us.
Yeah. And don't you feel great when you're loving someone?
Oh yeah.
When you're doing something nice for someone, you're lifting them up, even if you're just smiling at somebody, and it lifts them. You can feel that connection because we're connected to everyone. We're all connected
Connected.
in that divine source. So
Yeah. Yeah. Mary, thank you so much for coming on. You're always such a joy. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate this is like we did a little service here, and
yeah, I know. Yeah, well, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I love to get information about spiritualism out into the world any way I can, because it has changed my life. It's changed my life, made my life better. And so I like to share that with
wonderful.
everyone.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask everyone to just, listen to this again. Consider all of these things that these ideas, these principles, these precepts are things that you kind of learn and develop and grow into, just as Reverend Mary said. And I invite you to the pathway, to exploring it. And so for now, I want you to go in love, go in peace, and love yourself, and know that you're not alone.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.